This week in Idaho, Idaho approves its first solar lease on state land. Another report of chronic wasting disease near Idaho's border is reported. An update on the battle against Quagga mussels comes out, plus so much more. This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. And that first story we teased there, in Idaho going environmental, Idaho has approved its first ever solar permit on state land, marking a significant shift in land use policy, to say the least there. The State Board of Land Commissioners voted 3-1 to lease 11,160 acres of endowment land to Pacific Corp for a combined wind and solar farm, so there's wind in there as well, near Idaho Falls. Specifically on the lease, the project is expected to generate between $1.5 million and $2 million annually in rent. We're not getting nothing as taxpayers. It is worth noting that it is a substantial increase from the current grazing lease revenue of 59 cents per acre. The 49.5-year lease, so half year there, includes plans for about 10 to 12 wind turbines and 2,000 to 5,000 acres of solar panels, with a total estimated capacity of 300 megawatts. But moving forward, and the general takeaway from this is that while the project has garnered support from local landowners and county commissioners, as you can guess for the second part, some concerns were raised about wildlife impact and potential financial risks, which are relevant ones to be put forward. The lease includes provisions for a land restoration and financial safeguards to protect state land interests. Hopefully that will balance everything out, and it'll be interesting to see with a lease like this, the first of its kind, how it will play out and if it will benefit the state in the long run. And speaking of environmental things, a new case of chronic wasting disease, or CWD, has been detected in Kalispell, Montana, close to Idaho's northern border, because animals don't look at borders, following Idaho's first detection in August. Now, for those of you out there that don't know what it is, and I had to educate myself the first time we reported on this, CWD is a fatal neurological disease affecting deer, elk, and moose, with no known cure. That's why it's a big deal. The discovery prompted Idaho Fish and Game to conduct a 9-day surveillance hunt, aiming to collect about 20 samples from white-tailed deer to assess the disease's spread and how far it may have gone. This region is also concerning because it is so close to the border of Washington, British Columbia, Montana, and us, and also has had other cases in those states reported of CWD, so rising in that area, which makes it concerning. Now, if you're worried you might be able to get this, there are no known transmissions of it to humans, but with that said, the CDC, being the ever cautious one, recommends testing harvested animals before consumption, just to be careful on that. But moving forward, this expanded presence of CWD poses a significant challenge to Idaho's wildlife management, specifically with all the state borders and stuff, and also increased reporting of it, though officials emphasize that hunting remains crucial for monitoring and managing the disease's spread because, they have limited manpower, but people love to hunt. And speaking of hunting and destroying, Idaho continues its battle against quagga mussels, an invasive species threatening waterways since the early 2000s. I didn't know it went that far back. These destructive mussels can damage infrastructure and impact recreational activities, such as the most important one to me, fishing. Specifically, after a concerning spread of it last year in the Snake River, the Idaho State Department of Agriculture implemented an aggressive treatment plan to use chelated copper in 8.5-mile sections of the river. The department closely monitored the 51 sampling areas during the treatment, and we reported on that. If you want to go back, you can check that out. While the treatment showed promising changes, officials are trying to balance effectiveness with environmental impact and just being careful overall, noting a limited fish mortality compared to previous efforts, so an improvement there. But moving forward with another treatment scheduled for November, Idaho remains committed to protecting our waterways from invasive threats through careful monitoring and strategic efforts so that we can have our fishing, recreation, and hopefully protect all of our infrastructure we've built for farming. And speaking of something we protect, our forests. Several wildfires continue to burn across Idaho as we move into late fall. You think with the cool temperatures they would go away, but They are still here, specifically with our first one, the Red Rock Fire, which is the state's largest active fire currently, has consumed about 79,260 acres and is 62% contained, so not the best numbers there as of recording. After merging with the Black Eagle Fire earlier this month, it continues to impact areas in the Lemhi County, so that gives you an idea of where it's at there. The next one is the Garden Fire. It is burning in the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness and has reached about 13,036 acres with 25% containment, so way worse than the previous one. And then the Valley Fire, which has been getting much reporting for good reason, burning near Boise, is nearly contained at 95%, having burned about 9,904 acres. In other fires, there are a couple other significant ones currently burning, including the Lava Fire at 97,585 acres, which is 94% contained. The Middle Fork Complex at 61,495 acres and 95% contained, so good numbers there. But moving forward, while evacuation orders have been lifted in numerous areas, which is great to hear, many forest roads and closures remain in effect in certain areas. With that said, fire crews are diligently working to manage these fires as cooler weather approaches. Hopefully it will give them a break and an upper hand in putting them all out. If you liked our first batch of stories there for the Midweek Report, do us a favor and hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. Helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. And speaking of roads and coming back down to the Treasure Valley, the ambitious Highway 16 extension project connecting the southern part of the Treasure Valley to Emmett is making progress despite some setbacks. Currently, the project is slightly behind schedule due to some utility delays from last year. But with that said, last week the Franklin Road between Star and McDermott Road in Nampa was closed to install the overhead structures for traffic lights and signage. The southern portion of the project near the freeway, and most of you have probably seen, is nearing completion with final touches on traffic signals, pavement markers, and striping. Notably, progress includes a new overpass and an on/off ramp near the Ada County/Canyon County line. But moving forward, the mainline expansion is expected to be completed between 2025 and 2026, so still got a bit more to wait, while the Chinden interchange is slated to be completed after 2026, so we've got a couple years to go there. This extensive project aims to accommodate the Treasure Valley's rapid growth and to improve connectivity across the valley, so it'll be easier to get to the northern part from the southern. And keeping with the theme of roadways, Ada County Highway District is preparing for the upcoming winter season at its Garden City headquarters, with significant changes to accommodate our growing region. As we just talked about, there are a ton of people moving here and a ton of traffic to enjoy. Over 45 miles of new road have been added to the existing snowplow routes due to continued development, as we've talked about. ACHD has stocked up on salt, sand, and magnesium chloride, that's the important one to keep things from freezing, while conducting thorough training for supervisors and operators. District maintains a priority system, this is something I didn't know until this story, focusing first on main roadways and school bus routes before addressing residential streets. While some residents may have some concerns about that over in Boise, ACHD has explained that these areas are a third priority and often clear naturally before crews can even reach them, so it really isn't high priority to get them when they'll just naturally clear themselves. But in conclusion, the maintenance teams emphasize their commitment to ensuring safe travel for the majority of commuters, particularly during crucial morning and evening hours. And speaking of something that is equally crucial and takes a long time to build, major bridge maintenance is underway across northern Idaho as crews work to prepare structures for winter. The project, which began last week with the 4th Street Bridge over Interstate 90, includes repairs to multiple bridges across the Panhandle. More broadly, work locations include bridges in Ponderay, Wallace, Mulan, Post Falls, and the Wolf Lodge area. The Idaho Transportation Department expects all repairs to be completed by early November before the snow really starts to fly, with individual bridge work lasting between 2 to 6 weeks. Multiple crews are working simultaneously to expedite the project. Drivers should expect some single-lane closures on these bridges, reducing speeds and flagging through work zones. But moving forward, we can comfort ourselves with all those inconveniences because these essential repairs will hopefully extend the bridge's lives and improve winter driving safety when you don't have to worry about the bridges having issue. If you want real-time updates on the work zones and traffic impact, drivers can use Idaho's 511 system via phone, so 511, or they can go online and check that. There's also a mobile app that they have there. You can navigate it just like Google Maps. If you live up north and you want your friends and family to know about these closures or any of the other stories we've talked about, please don't hesitate to share it. Your shares help us spread the word about our beautiful state. And related to planning and development, Nampa's Planning and Zoning Commission has approved a unique container park for downtown at 12th Avenue South to 1st Avenue South. The 0.11 acre outdoor plaza will feature 4 repurposed shipping containers, housing food and beverage vendors, plus restrooms, because those are important when you're eating food. The project includes a covered amphitheater for live entertainment, adjustable seating, fire pits, and artificial turf, so they don't have to maintain it. That's nice, saving taxpayers a little bit of money there. For some broader context, while the designs are a temporary solution for an underutilized lot there, the space aims to enhance the downtown entertainment options and be a place for people to gather, because we actually need more of those. But moving forward, city officials are enthusiastic about the project, though it requires a special use permit due to its unconventional nature. The fenced venue will maintain visibility while controlled access because of alcohol services and minors. It now moves to the design review with an opening day yet to be announced on that, so stay tuned for that there. And speaking of events, plans for Caldwell's Event Center District are advancing, with KSA Investment expressing interest in building a hotel on the city-owned property at 104 North 21st Avenue. Specifically, the proposed development includes a 100-plus room hotel with 251 parking stalls, addressing Caldwell's significant hotel shortage compared to its neighboring cities. We do kind of have to struggle with that a little bit. The project, valued at approximately $3.1 million, could generate about $128,000 annually in property tax alone. This development aims to reduce leakage, which they define as visitors staying in other cities during Caldwell's events, so they're spending less money there in Caldwell. While some council members support the immediate action, others advocate for a more comprehensive planning to be ahead of the curve and think a little bit more about it. But moving forward, the developer hopes to be in construction by spring of 2025 with a 50-year land lease with the property there. This addition could complement Caldwell's existing 4 hotels, potentially boosting the local economic growth there because people won't be going other ways or leaking away through increased visitor spending and tax revenue. And speaking of cities and what they do with your taxes, the city of Boise is expanding its recycling program to now accept additional plastic items thanks to upgrades to the Republic Service Idaho Recycling Center. Specifically, for all those Boiseans out there, residents can now include plastic food tubs, such as yogurts, cottage cheese, and sour cream containers, along with lightweight plastic water bottles in their recycling bins. This expansion addresses the frequently asked requests that they're being getting from Boiseans wanting to recycle more materials. The changes apply to both residential and business consumers, so you're not left out of their businesses, including those in multi-family housing with recycling services. In conclusion, the project manager Peter McCullough emphasized that these improvements will help keep more plastic out of local landfills, which is always a plus, while ensuring domestic recycling into new products. For detailed information about acceptable items and you're trying to figure out what's good or not, you can check out the link in the description that we will provide below, or if you don't want to do that, you can visit the city's recycling website. Which, if you've loved the Midweek Report so far and want to keep up on all things Idaho, make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future content. And as we're coming into the home stretch here, Idaho Fish and Game is calling on anglers to help manage an increased walleye population. Oh no, what a horrible problem to have. Threatening our native salmon and steelhead. They are rapidly spreading upstream in the Snake and Salmon rivers, with reported catches jumping from about 19 in 2023 to over 60 in 2024, so bit of a jump there. The fish, ranging from 13 to 30 inches, man, that's a nice fish, now occupy critical areas for juvenile salmon and steelhead. As stewards of Idaho's waterways, Idaho Fish and Game is encouraging anglers to harvest walleye caught, which not that bad of an issue, but there's a slight caveat though, you can't harvest them in the areas which are designated near walleye fisheries, namely the Salmon Falls Creek, Oneida, and Oakley reservoirs, so those are off limits. Anglers typically find walleye near sandy beaches, islands, and back eddies while fishing with worms or swim baits, so it gives you a little bit of an idea there. But Idaho Fish and Game are requesting that caught walleye be killed and reported to help monitor how many are killed and what the population is and how many that are being caught. And speaking of another pastime in Idaho, harvest time, the Treasure Valley's onion harvest is wrapping up with some impressive results, as major producers like J.C. Watson's company project to be packing around 200 million pounds of raw onions this season. The reason for this is the region's ideal growing conditions, including low humidity. We definitely have a lot of that. I've heard people complain about it. Long growing seasons, not long enough in my opinion, and reliable irrigation, can attest, have contributed to a successful harvest this year. Idaho's position in the national market remains strong, with companies shipping onions across the United States and Canada, so we're a nice exporter there. The industry continues to modernize, evidenced by J.C. Watson's recent $1.55 million USDA grant for rail shipping infrastructure improvements, so they get to improve that a little bit. But moving forward, the abundant harvest ensures a steady supply of quality onions for consumers nationwide, while providing economic stability for local farming communities, because they're getting a guaranteed shipment going out there. As another successful growing season concludes, not only for onion farmers, but many other farmers in Idaho, I would say we should be reminded of the remarkable blessing of having such productivity and fertile land here in Idaho. And speaking of blessings, I'm glad I was able to bless you with this episode, but I have to head out. Thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek Report, make sure to check out our other content. We're constantly working away on that. We have some cool stuff there. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email or on Twitter by tweeting us at Local Yocal Idaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. Thank you for your continued support and assistance. That's all for now, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.